All right, folks, so is Judaism left-wing or right-wing? Well, I actually have the answer here in this envelope. So drum roll, please. Let's see. Okay, here we go. And the answer is, it's complicated. So the truth is, this is actually the case. It is complicated. Now, when we ask, is Judaism more left-wing or right-wing, I'm talking about the kind of questions about governing society that the left and the right are constantly fighting over, i.e., is Judaism more in favour of state control or individual liberty? Is it in favour of higher taxes or lower taxes? These are battles that are dominating politics today and have done for a very long time. Now, I have to say, I find it exceptionally irritating when people of certain political persuasions project their own political ideology onto their religion as if they are entirely one and the same. This, in my view, is a hijacking and abuse of religion. But nonetheless, I do think the Torah points us towards a fascinating viewpoint about political ideologies that I'd love to share with you. In seeking an answer to this question, I wanted to share with you an idea that is discussed by some Torah commentaries and was first brought to my attention by JTV regular Rabbi Zobin. He pointed out something amazing, that this debate between the right and the left of how we govern society can actually find its roots in the very beginning of the Torah, where it gives an account of the beginning of human history. Because the Torah starts by telling us the story of humanity as a whole. It tells us of a society that arose from the offspring of Adam and Eve. It was the society preceding the flood. It was a society of anarchy, a society in which people could do whatever they want. It was almost a free market gone haywire, with nothing, not even a shared community or religious values, that was able to restrain human activity from immorality and debasement. And the chaos and immorality of this period led to total collapse and eventual extinction. And then, immediately after the story of the flood, the Bible contrasts this small or almost no government society with its exact opposite, a big government, centralized, state-controlled, central planned society, with the story of the Tower of Babel. The Torah tells us that the people spoke with one voice, in one language, and they were acting all in unison towards a shared goal, whether they wanted to or not. The Midrash, the Torah commentary, tells us that the people were aggrieved when a brick was lost in the process of building the tower, but not when a human being died in the process. In this state-controlled society, people were expendable, but the big utopian vision for humanity was not. And so too in this case, God had to do something, and so he divided the people into different languages and dispersed them, thereby insisting that they develop differences between one another and thus attain some level of individuality. So remarkably, at the very, very beginning of the Torah, we already have described before us two models of society, two ideologies that are still at loggerheads with each other to this day, perhaps in more moderate forms, but still defining the political battles of our time. So now what? Which society is preferable? It seems it didn't work out for either of them, so what happens next? What does the Torah have to say? Well, immediately after the story of the Tower of Babel, and the Torah's focus on society as a whole, we suddenly zoom in to the story of just one man, Abraham, and his own personal journey of trying to make the world a better place. And he does this not on a grand global level, but within his immediate vicinity, within the world around him. The Torah documents the personal trials and tribulations of Abraham and his descendants, matters that you and I deal with, family disagreements, jealousy, monetary battles, marriage issues, infertility, bereavement. And indeed, the rest of the book of Genesis is a story of one family and all the intricacies and difficulties of family life, and life as an individual. And it's here that God's new plan for humanity actually emerges. Instead of a top-down approach focusing on society as a whole, instead the Torah shifts to a bottom-up approach, where God creates a covenant with one righteous person who builds one family that will eventually form one nation. And this nation will eventually go on to receive a set of laws that is far more focused on the intricacies of human individual action on a day-to-day basis than on grand political schemes. From the turning point of the Tower of Babel story, the Torah suddenly becomes far more focused on morality at an individual level, between family member to family member, neighbour to neighbour, between friends to friends, person to person, and far less focused on big political programs and structures. It's almost as if the Torah is relatively unconcerned with the big political and societal structures, and whether it's more centralised or more libertarian. It's as if the Torah is telling us that while big grand projects may have great intentions and may seem wonderful, the deeper work of transforming our world for the good is by all individuals taking responsibility for their neighbour. Just in those small acts of daily interactions with other human beings. That smile you give to that person as you cross them on the street. The extra errands you do for your family member, even though you've got your own priorities for the day. It's in those individual acts of personal responsibility that the world really changes. And though we may think our personal acts of morality or kindness or spirituality may be small, the ripple effects may be bigger than we could ever imagine. The Torah is universalist in its ambitions, but particularist in its methodology. It cares for all humanity, and while there is a place for politics in Judaism, the work of changing the world is primarily focused, not in the world of politics, but in the daily acts of individuals like you and me. It's interesting, you can sometimes find people whose lives are heavily centred around politics and what they believe is intended to help humanity. They can often be found to have not such great, even immoral, personal lives. Lenin, who had great visions for society, was known by those surrounding him to be a not particularly nice person. The Torah recognises that it's easy to preach large, grand-scale political plans and to profess a love of all humanity, but it's much harder to love your neighbour, to be a decent person to your family, to your friends, neighbours, and all those around you. And it's not to say that politics doesn't have its place, of course it does, but in Judaism, the real work of changing the world starts at home. As I was drafting this video, I actually happened to come across a speech given by the great Rabbi Shlomo Farhi, and he said something that resonated so much with all of this. He said, quote, "Small people only try and do great things, but it is only great people who understand the value of doing small things." If you've made it so far in this video, I have a request for you. JTV has been having a really big impact in spreading the truth about Israel and creating positive associations with the Jewish people, Judaism, and Israel. We've really grown a lot, particularly in the last year, and we're having a really significant impact, both for Jews and non-Jews. But I really want to take JTV to the next level so we can start to compete with the other big online media beasts that are often peddling anti-Israel content. And the way we're going to do that is to scale even faster. So I'd love to build a team where we have other presenters doing shows like me. Let's start doing documentaries, supplementary content, animated content, etc., etc. And to do that, I'd like to build a bit of a team. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one fundraising day, just one, where we try and build up some funding in order to fund such a team. Now, to do that, it's going to obviously require people to get involved. And I'm wondering if you would consider, if you're watching JTV content and appreciate what we do and want to help partner with us in taking this to the next level and spreading the truth farther and wider than ever before, I wonder if you'd consider partnering with us simply by running a page, a mini page on the fundraiser that we do, where you just reach out to your contacts on that day that we choose to fundraise and see if they'll all chip in. If you'd be up for doing that, of which I would be so grateful, then please click on the Google form link in the video description of this video, where you can simply just put in a few contact details. It'll be a very small commitment, as I say, literally just one day that we'll all agree upon as a collective community. But the impact is going to be so big. There's such strength in numbers. If we all pull together and do this, we can take this to the next level. And as I say, all of us can partner together in bringing and spreading the truth to the whole world. So please do consider clicking on that link, filling in the form, and I'll be in touch very soon to talk about the next steps. Small commitment, but a big impact. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.